All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone. It is my pleasure to offer you and host this ThoughtLab on behalf of L&D Shakers. We organize these to get a better look into different kinds of practices. And today we are hosting it together with none other than Lena. For me, Lena does not need that much of an introduction. She's a personal hero of mine. She's been a trainer, she is a coach, she has worked in a variety of different places, working for Netflix, pharmaceutics, Trivium Packaging, and Koreas. I know she's super involved in female lead. She is doing so many different things, and she really is at the forefront of coaching and personal development. I am really happy to host this together with you. Then we also have Christiana here. Christiana has been working together with Lena for some time and has her own organization. She's currently following an entrepreneurial track with Lena. She delivers trainings herself on various topics, personal development, intercultural communication, and is particularly happy talking about women's rights, human rights, and much more. With that in mind, L&D Shakers, community for learning and development, anybody that is interested in learning just a little more about training, development, how to improve your practices. And today we'll be working over audience management together with Lena. Lena, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Stefan, and I'm touched by your words. And it's true, we know each other for quite some time. And while we're preparing the session now, a couple of minutes before you joined, Stefan said, "Oh my God, I was in this training," in the training that we have the picture here as a background. That's a training for trainers that we did maybe 4 years ago before the pandemic for a very large audience. And yeah, we worked quite a bit together, and I'm very excited to be here together with you. We had like an overwhelming amount of registrations, like 139 people registered to join the session. We have 54 already are here, and I see quite some faces that I already know and some new faces also. You're all welcome. I'm very happy to have this session together with you. And yeah, let's get it started. So my name is Lena Nasciakou, and I live in Utrecht in the Netherlands. I'm coming from Greece originally, and learning and training the trainer has been like my bread and butter since I was very little. But then I also did a bachelor's on it, a master's on adult education and lifelong learning. And I came to the Netherlands to pursue a career in this subject. I run my own company. It's called Lena's Moves, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about it in a bit. But I wanted to kick off this event with a personal story because audience management is very close to my heart. Because even though I had all the formal documents, the certificates, the master's degrees and everything, when I moved to the Netherlands and I started giving training courses like the one in the picture with like more than 70 trainers, and or leaders, depends on what was the course. And the courses were like for 7 days, and I was scared to death of difficult participants, of participants who are not engaging, participants who have very strong opinions, participants who don't stop them asking questions, on handling panelists. And that really stole my joy for facilitation. To the point that 9 years ago, I said that I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to facilitate anymore. I don't want to work as a trainer. I was anyhow doing a lot of learning design and learning coordination, so being behind the scenes, and I thought I'm going to enjoy doing only this because it brings me so much stress to handle the whole room, to handle difficult participants. And I'm saying difficult participants that I find difficult to handle. And this is what I did for a couple of months. I took a break, and luckily I had some good people next to me who pushed me again into this direction. And I observed a lot of trainers. I delved in the subject myself. I did a lot of research. And I arrived to the point that it's not that it doesn't stress me out, but I have quite some techniques in place to help me when I find it difficult to manage certain audiences. And I think it's been now 5 years. I'm also giving train the trainer workshops on the subject. So today what we're gonna do is that we are really going to work together on a webinar style, actually. It's not the usual workshop style that the ones who know me you're used to, but on a more of a webinar style. And we are gonna work very specifically on the 3 cases. What do you do when you have people who do not agree with what you're saying, who are like, no, I disagree, I have strong opinions? How do you handle panels and panelists? What is like how to find this fine tune? And how to deal with silent audiences. I was looking at the chat while you were writing, and I saw that many of you are saying the same things, more or less, like how to deal people, what to do when people are not responding. When you're asking a question, there is crickets in the room. Finding tune with panelists, but also people who have strong opinions and how to deal with it. Now, as Stefan said already, I'm not going to do this workshop alone, this webinar alone, but I'm here together with Christiana, who is going to say a thing or two about Lena's moves and about herself.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to see so many people. Some of you I know, some of you I don't know. I'm very happy with your participation in what you shared in the chat, because I feel like we really set up a program today that will answer your needs. But a few words about me. As Stefan mentioned, I'm also setting up my own company right now. I am from Bulgaria originally, and I'm very happy to be learning from Lena in the past few months. I've known her for many years, her work, and last year I was finally a participant in one of her trainings. And this year I can say that we're working together and I'm part of Lena's Moves. So who are we, Lena's Moves? We have been established around 2017, and we work with different companies, small, large, established, startups, scale-ups. The product that we offer is train-the-trainer programs, as it has been mentioned. This is what you're going to experience today. Leadership development, how to coach programs, and female empowerment, my favorite. And we also do learning design experiences, which means that we can help you with your own learning design and add a bit of magic to it. Go back at you, Lena.
Thank you very much, Christiana. So as a decent facilitator, I mean, you're all decent facilitators, we start with a check-in. So the idea is to do a check-in in an embodied way, because that's our specialization at Lena's Moves. We do everything with movement. So we have now, how many people? 58 people, which is a lovely group for this check-in. So what you need for that is your creativity. Yes, already to start in, and your imagination. It's to kick in now. It's better if it kicks in sooner or later, because in a moment, we are all going to transform into little dragons, as the ones that you see on the screen. And I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath in and put a lot of air in your belly. Take a deep breath in and breathe out and put fire in the screen. Amazing, Pedro, you're the winner for that. Lovely, lovely. And oh my God, you know, on Sunday was my dad's birthday. He turned 60, quite a big thing. So sorry, I was not in Greece to celebrate with him. But we had this virtual cake and we wanted to blow the candles. So please help me. These are 60 candles. Don't think that they're 3. No, they're 60, our imagination. So take a deep breath in from your belly. Yes, and we're gonna blow the candles all together. 3, 2, 1. How amazing. And I know we are from different time zones, but here in Europe, it's almost lunchtime. And actually, this webinar is the only thing that stands between us and our lunch. Favorite lunch for me, pizza. Help me out if you're there. So please take a slice of this pizza. I see Germain, you're with me. Yes, Alina too. Please take a slice of this pizza in your hand, because, oh, it's burning so much. So we really need to put some air there. So we make sure that we can make it cold for us. We can cool it down. So breathe in, lots of air in your belly. Make your belly big, yes. And now blow the pizza. Oh, nice. And you can have a bite. How lovely. Thank you for helping me with making our pizzas cold. So, and with this having, while we have done that, let's go to our roadmap, because the first thing that we will do is to tackle the case when you have an audience and you have this one person who disagrees. You have this one person who has strong opinions, who've seen the world different, who sees the world differently than you, who says, no, I don't agree with this model, or it doesn't apply to our company settings. It's not the direction we want to take. And they have really these strong opinions. And oh, I think it's time for Chris already. She has a question for you before we move on.
Yeah, actually, I have a. I think I am sometimes this participant, but when I'm in the role of the trainer, I definitely feel challenged. So my question here is, what happens inside of you when you're in the room and you have this challenging participant that disagrees with you? Do you feel like meme number 1, 2, 3, or 4? And you can put it in the chat. So let's see what's the majority. And I'll vote as well. Okay. So I see 2, 3, 1, 4, 4, 1. Alina, tell me how you do it. 2. Okay. I think 4 and 2 have the majority. Thank you so much for your participation.
Wow, and I see that more answers are coming, but yeah, 2 on the outside, 1 on the inside, so cool. I have the same on the outside. I mean, we can't help it, but it shows, but on the inside, we're like, okay, take a deep breath, it's all gonna be fine. So what happens when somebody disagrees? Let's look at it so we get a bit of perspective. What happens, and that's really primal, is that we get upset and immediately we're like, no, what you're saying is wrong and what I'm saying is right, because I've studied, I've worked on it and everything. So we usually try to prove ourselves right and prove the other person wrong. And that's when we are primitively, we are responding from our primitive instincts. That's not really handy. What really helps is to really see the person and acknowledge what they are bringing in, because yeah, otherwise we only create tension. And it feels like when we are boiling some hot water. I mean, have you ever cooked pasta? Put your hands up if you have. Yeah, I see people are nodding, so hi, I see yes. So imagine that you have this pot and you put pasta in and then you close the lid. What will happen like in a minute or two? Can you show it? An explosion, right? All the water is gonna go out of the pot. So what we need to do is to imagine this participant that they are boiling inside like a pot with hot water. And then if you go and you're like, no, but I'm gonna persuade you because I'm right, it's like you're closing with the lid. So on a mindset level, what we need to think is, how can I leave the lid open so the steam can just blow and go up and it's just okay. So how do we do that? Because this is the idea, this is the mindset that we need to have when this situation comes. The how-to comes with the 3 Ds. It's a very good approach which says that we need to A, depersonalize, B, detach, and C, diffuse. Oh, by the way, you're going to take everything that we work on today and the cheat sheet with all the theory like in one place. So I have everything together. So depersonalize, detach, diffuse. How does it look like actually? So depersonalize, it's all about not taking it personal. I know it's easier said than done, but please try to. What can help you is to think that when you are in a facilitator's role or in a trainer's role, you're automatically in an authoritative position. If you're a little bit familiar with transactional analysis, then you know that when you are in an authoritative position, that means that you are like in a position of a parent or an authoritative figure. And there is when you are in this position, yeah, people have trouble with that. So they see you in this position, and then exactly, it's not about you, that they come and they attack you. No, it's about the role that you represent, the position that you are in. So the first part is all about depersonalizing. Understand that it's not about me. It's not about me, it's about the role that I'm now in, what I represent in the room. Thank you, Christiana, for writing transactional analysis down. There's done a lot of work on that. So depersonalize. You do depersonalizing and you show it to the other side when you are comfortably sitting and listening. The person might ramble for a little bit. Oh, it's okay. Take a moment and listen so they also feel heard and seen. So first thing, depersonalize. Second thing, detach. Detach. I know emotions will come in and you might feel angry, frustrated, stressed, attacked. Very solid, very valid emotions. I've been there, I've told you already. And it's very important to take a distance between what I feel immediately with my emotions and what I need to do. So detach, take a step and take a moment to observe your emotions and say, okay, this is how I feel, what can I do? Breathing helps a lot. That's why we did the playful breathing exercises in the beginning. Breathe from your belly. We'll do some more about it in a second. So first thing, depersonalize. Second thing, detach. Take distance. Third thing, diffuse. And because I've been giving the trainers for quite some time, people say that find it very difficult to grasp the sense of diffuse. So I'm going to make it as simple as possible. Diffuse is about acknowledging the other person and thanking them. Acknowledging and thanking them. Acknowledging looks like that. From what I hear you saying this and this. So you make a short summary. Doesn't mean that you are taking their own perspective. No, you just summarize what they have said. So from your active listening, then they feel that they are really seen and heard. And then you say, thank you for bringing this up. And pause. A key secret, you need to pause, because then the person feels that, oh, Lena doesn't try to persuade me. Yeah, Alina doesn't try to prove herself right. No, she's just... And then 9 out of 10, people are going to be okay with that. And they will let you move forward. And they understand that, yeah, we have different opinions. Now, 1 out of 10, no, maybe 1 out of 100 will still go into, no, but I want to make, no. What do you do in these cases? In this case, you can at first agree to disagree. You can say, yeah, let's agree to disagree. Second thing that you can do is to tell them, okay, we are here to focus on this and this and this. These are the learning items that we need to focus. So you bring the focus on learning. And the third thing, if things are escalating, but I'm telling you, it doesn't happen very often, is to take a break. Ask the person if it's okay to pause, and then pick it up at a different moment when the situation is not as heated as the current moment. So this is the idea. And I see that you're putting in the chat, yes, things that are helping you. Yeah, we are all adults, we're making our decisions. Exactly. And Shannon, you say, yeah, that these emotions move around in the room. That's true. What happens mostly is that if one person goes and they have really a strong negative energy towards what is happening, the rest of the people also feel it. So it's super important to diffuse and bring a light atmosphere, again, a light energy, a light atmosphere in the room. Because otherwise it's really difficult for the people who do not engage with this person. It's very difficult for them also. So it's important for everyone in the room to bring the atmosphere. And as a facilitation, as a facilitator, your role is exactly to orchestrate the energy in the room. I see there is a question around what do you do if groups are bonding and then you have the negative group and the positive group? That's a very good question. It's not going to be covered in this workshop because that needs a lot of diving in. What can I say? What I can say, the way that I work with that, is that you really need to have the techniques to handle it. And it helps a lot if you exaggerate a little bit and become really vulnerable in front of the group and face it. But again, that's quite a subject, and it takes at least 2 hours to go through it because, yeah, it's an important subject. Lovely. And with this being said, and with your lovely comments in the chat, we are moving to the next part, the panelist part. So, I develop a lot, and I develop and deliver leadership courses. So sometimes I have panelists that I have to handle them myself. And sometimes I design and develop leadership development courses for other trainers to deliver internally their organization. The first question that they ask is, how do I handle the panel? So let me ask the question back to you. Who of you has, is handling panels? Do you do courses and you have panels on your end? And if you do, please put your right hand on the top or put an emoji in the chat if you have your camera off. So if you handle panelists, yes, put an emoji, yes, put your hand up. Lovely, I see some people. And if you find it tricky to handle them when it comes to times and everything, Shannon, keep your hand up. Keep your hand up, yes. That's your left ear. Do we have people who find it difficult to handle panelists? Yes, no, I'm alone. Oh, I see some hands up. Yes, Stefan, yes, Shannon, yes, Christiana, yes. Thank you. So it happens pretty often. It happens really often that we have these panelists, and how do we really how do we do things in a way that we don't come across as rude, but we keep a nice balance and we keep track on time and point. So working with panelists, I've seen that there are two issues that we have to handle as facilitators. One is to keep time, because they love the subject. It's not for no reason that we invited them. They really enjoy the subject. They are excellent in the subject. They have lots to share. They are passionate about it. And that's difficult for us because we need to keep time. Things are all timed and we have to fit everything in one day, one workshop, 2 days, or whatever you do. And the other thing that's tricky is to keep things on point, because if I'm passionate about the subject, I'm going to ramble, right? That's very normal. And the question is, what do we do as trainers or as facilitators? Because if we see that things are going and they're taking more time and space than expected, and the group is engaging and everyone is like, okay, that's really great, maybe we can cut off time from something else and give it to them. But if we see that the panelists are going all over again and again, and they're losing the point and they're losing their audiences and people feel like drained, then we are also there to sense the room and support them to stay on track. Now, how do we do that? I've been working on that for a long time, and I have a sentence that Christiana is going to put in the chat because it really works. When you have panelists, that helps you as facilitator to tick these boxes, with one stone to hit two birds, the time and the point. So the sentence that we use is, dear person, since we are a little bit out of time in 30 seconds, what is the one point, the one thing that you want us to remember from today? So in this way, you tell them, you don't have so much time, we need to wrap up in 30 seconds. And you also tell them, what is this one thing that you want people to remember? So what's the point that you try to make here? In this way, you are polite, you don't cut them off completely, and you're helping them to make a final statement before they leave the stage. So this is how to keep a panel on track. And this is very much connected with the briefing that you need to do with the panelists. So in order to bring a panelist for example, in your leadership development training, of course, you need to brief them up front. And I know I've been there with you. It's difficult, they don't have time, they're always super busy, and we might feel that they're making us a favor by being there. Yet, it's super important to put the limits and explain in this briefing what is my role as a facilitator and what is your role as a panelist. In this way, they are already warmed up of what is going to happen. So you might tell them, hey, I might interrupt you. Hey, I might ask you a question. Hey, I need to keep track on time. And then the person knows, and then it becomes less of a friction point when you do it on the spot, because they expect it. They are like, hey, Maria told me that she's going to interrupt me if I'm running out of time. That brings a lot of clarity for them and for you, and less of a friction. As I said before, it's less of a friction point when you do it, because actually they expect it. They are like, okay, she told me, or he told me, or they told me that I might get interrupted. Something might pop up, or might be a question or something, and they expect it. Whew, I've talked a lot, and I'm not used to talk so much when I give workshops. But yeah, I think with this, we have a question for you again by Christiana, because we've covered quite some parts already. So Christiana, back to you.
Yeah, let's take a moment to reflect on all that we've heard. And let's use one of my favorite techniques when it comes to webinars. It's called the waterfall technique. Maybe some of you know it. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds for you to think about what resonated with you the most of what you've heard so far. And then on 3, 2, 1, we're going to all put it together in the chat at the same time. So now first take a moment to reflect. I'll wait a few seconds. So in this time you prepare it and you put it in the chat. Okay, I will read some. Let's see. The 3 Ds were great. Briefing, one thing to remember, acknowledge and thank aggressive participants. The briefing is so important. I really like the line, what's one thing to remember? Depersonalization, diffuse and welcome the disagreements. The helpful advice to depersonalize, to not surprise negative comments. Diffuse, preparation is key when it comes to managing panel discussions. What's the one thing you want us to remember? Lena's strategy for diffusion, detaching the fuse. Okay, seems like the 3 Ds were very popular. Thank you. Thank you all. And shall we go back to our timeline? Okay, so the next thing we'll cover, as said in our agenda, is the silent audience. So many of you already mentioned in the beginning that it's something that triggers you. So let's see what we can do about it. And let's answer one more question from me, for which I'll ask Lena to support me. Okay, so the question is, what's the longest you have endured silence? 2 seconds, 1 minute, 16 minutes, or 24 hours? Let's see what the most popular answer will be. I'll give you some time. Okay, I see that for now it's 1 minute. We're not very tolerant with silence, are we? We're not so used to it. Okay, 78% of you replied, so I would say that yes, the most popular is 1 minute. And I have a suggestion. I'm planning to go to a Vipassana training where I'll be staying in silence for a week. So if anyone is interested, hit me up, because I think it's something we can practice as trainers. Thank you, and back to Lena.
Thank you so much. It's always super funny to see the results of this poll. And Bogdan, you're asking as a trainer, as a person. I mean, as a trainer, but as a person, I'm also very curious now to hear how long can you endure silence, and I'll pass your answer to my partner. So if you want to put in the chat or unmute yourself, I'm very curious to hear, to be honest. I see, unread message. Oh, I see that there were more things that I didn't see before. Okay, Bogdan, when you are ready. Then, since that's a cool topic to discover, let's dive into it a little bit more. So we have silent audiences. When it comes to silent audiences, there are a couple of things that we need to keep in mind. At first, I'm going to say it again, depersonalized is not about you. Can be that you give one training course to a group A, and they're super bubbly, energetic, they respond, they play with you, they answer your questions, they engage in the exercise, and then you do the same workshop in another group, in group B, and it's completely crickets in the room. So it's not about you. It's mostly about the people, and what we figured by working with different groups of people all over the world actually is that if when we deliver to groups that they are more senior, we're talking about executive level leadership positions, these people are more prone to talk, or L&Ds. I mean, we are all in L&D, so we are happy the puppy when somebody is asking us. we are used to reflecting, we are more energetic in these groups. If you give workshops to groups that they are like tech people, for example, engineers, tech teams, these are not so prone into sharing. So these are things that we need to keep in mind in order to relax and realize that, yeah, it's not really about us. It's the development teams are the hardest, right? Yes, Lucy, they're very difficult. They're very difficult. And where we are usually going into, or what I hear facilitators that I've worked with or I trained, they say, hey, Lena, but then I think that's something wrong about me, that I'm not doing it well, or that my content, especially if that's the first time that they deliver the content. So imagine we've created a leadership development course and then they have to go and facilitate. And of course, the first time you don't feel as confident as you will in the second time or third time. And then having people also not to respond then can really trigger something within. So take a breath. It's not about you. It depends on the audience. So that was the thing that I've observed from my work with different audiences. There is also some interesting research that is backing up the following thing. Oh, silent audience, yes. So here is the research. The research shows that from the moment that we ask a question, the facilitator asks questions, it takes from 1 to 10 seconds for the person to process a question and to process like the answer that they want to give. While on average, teachers or, we are facilitators, trainers, only wait 0.7 to 1.4 seconds after asking question. So people need more time in order to respond. And that's scientifically researched. So yeah, it takes more time. And as you're saying, yes, also Zoom is hard. Exactly, with Zoom is also hard, and sometimes there are delays. And it's not super comfortable for us to wait in silence until people are raising their hands or until they respond. And I know it's not difficult. So what can we do in order to avoid this uncomfortable feeling that we might have? There we have a couple of techniques for you, actually 3 techniques for you. So the first technique that you can do, and let me see the chat, somebody wrote something. You have to ask people to volunteer, and sometimes, yes, very award XT. Oh, I don't know what's this award XT, but if you wanna, Lucy, if you wanna explain a little further, I'm very curious to hear. Writing on the chat helps also. Here are the techniques that we have prepared for you. First one, the sandwich method, it's lunchtime, I'm hungry. It's all about showing you pizzas and sandwiches in front of in the camera. So the sandwich method, what does it mean? You see these 2 slices of bread and you see something like super delicious in the middle, the juicy things in the middle. So my favorite technique is doing the following. The bread is when I go and I say, hey, in the next part, we're gonna ask you a couple of questions to reflect or whatever. Yeah, I'm bringing in the first bread. I'm saying, in a moment, I'm gonna ask you questions. So people get aware around this and this. And then I don't just stop, but I give them all the juicy things in the middle. So I'm telling them, because so far we did this and that. I make a summary of what we've been working on so far, so it's not awkward silence. And and then I give again the bread and I'm saying, now it's the moment to ask your questions or to answer this question or la-di-la-di-da. So we start by announcing that in a moment we're going to ask you. Then we give the juice, we say blah, 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 this is what we covered so far, and la-di-la-di-da. And then we give the last bread in the bottom. We say, okay, now it's a moment to ask a question. And then we can take a second, we pause, we drink a sip of water, we smile to show that everything is okay and we are comfortable with silence. So this is the idea of the sandwich method. Now, the next method that we have for you is to give people some prep time. So what works very well, especially when I facilitate with larger groups that they don't really know each other, in the beginning, they don't feel comfortable to express themselves and share what they have in mind. But when giving prep time, that really helps a lot. So how it works is that I'm announcing that we're going to have like a question or reflection, whatever it is. And then I'm telling them, yeah, you now have 5 minutes or 2 minutes or 6 minutes, depends on the question that you're asking, for you to write down your own thoughts or to skim out the insights that you got so far if you're doing a reflection. You play a little bit of music in the background so people feel more relaxed, and they take a moment with themselves with a pen and paper, and they write down. Even if you do the session online, you're always invited. The invitation is to use pen and paper, because you know what they say, because when we do things online, you miss the tactile sense, the thing that you really do something. So it's always good. Pen and paper, they grab something, they write down. And when they are back, when the time is up, then you can ask them to share back. So first technique, sandwich method. Second technique, give preparation time. And the last technique is about putting them in smaller groups. Now, I know you're all facilitators and you're great what you do, so you know already that. That's the best way. If people feel that, then it's not about them not being ready to respond, but it's more about the psychological safety in the bigger group and in smaller groups. So sometimes it's more handy to start with groups and people share their insights there. Now, if you look at it from the psychological perspective or psychological safety perspective, what the experts say is that you start with smaller groups, so with groups of 2 or 3, and then in the next reflection or the next exercise, you go with bigger groups, let's say 3, 4, and then you can have even bigger groups in the next one, and then with the whole group. It works much easier for the people to start bonding with the smaller group and then expanding to larger audiences. And let me pause here to see what you are writing in the chat, because I think these are great additions that you're putting. Yes, Bogdan says also important to make them feel comfortable with talking in large groups. Yes, of course, of course. And the way you do that is by also saying, yeah, there's nothing right or wrong, and encouraging people to speak up, of course. Making them talk in pairs, and then they can share with a big group. Exactly, Bogdan. Thank you very much for the input. Yeah. And Emily says that the waterfall method is very good for this. Exactly, very good method for this. And Lucy, Ribana says, yeah, we play a game and there's a random name drawn every time. Also very good, also very good, yes. Very good ideas. So different ways, and I'm very happy that you're putting your ideas in the chat on how to handle it. But always remember, don't take it personally, it's not about you. Yeah, depersonalize, and then it's all good. Now, we've covered our roadmap so far. The one who disagrees, the panel, and the silent audience. And all these techniques that we shared and you shared are great. They're all really, really great, I can tell, out of experience. But there is, and there is a top secret. There is one thing that is the most important thing. And if you don't have it, then things were not going to work. And this thing is this inner calmness and inner peace when we facilitate groups. And I know that things can be very triggering, and we really want to remember, and what was this technique, and I want to use this and that. But if I'm not calm, there is no way I can perform any of the techniques. And even if I perform them, it will not sound well. So if I'm not calm and relaxed and I try to acknowledge and diffuse, for example, I might sound like that. Yeah, so Stefan, what you're saying is this and that, and thank you for bringing it up. Yeah, Stefan is not going to feel that that things are okay, right? So what is this top secret? How can you support yourself in bringing yourself in this calm state? You might have guessed it already because we worked on it in the beginning, but it's all about breathing awareness. And I know it's super simple and very hard to do also at some cases. So why is breathing awareness so important, and why taking these 3 breaths that we did in the beginning was so important? There is a lot of research around it, but there is one piece of research that I particularly like because it says that it really decreases the cortisol levels. by an average of 27%. So cortisol levels, when we get upset or, when something is triggering us, go high. Imagine seeing them like that. So breathing can really help us relax and gives the signal to our brain and to our whole body that everything is okay. Everything is okay. Now, how do we breathe also makes a big difference, because if we get upset, our breathing becomes very shallow, very shallow. So the way that we need to breathe is exactly the way we did it with the check-in. You remember, with the dragons, with the candle, and with the pizza. So when we breathe in, we expand our belly. I'm going to stand up and show it. Breathe in and put a lot of air in your belly. Let me show you. So here we breathe in and it becomes big, and breathe out and it becomes smaller. So by breathing in, let's do it all together now. Put your hands on your belly so you can feel your belly expanding. Yes, put your hands on your beautiful bellies. I know it doesn't look sexy, but we don't care right now. So, and breathe in and send a lot of air in your belly. And breathe out and feel your belly becoming smaller. Lovely, lovely. Did you manage to do it? Put a sign, put an emoji. Yes, yes. This is what really helps us. And I can promise you, nobody's going to understand what you do it, because it takes half a second to do it, or less than half a second to do it. But everyone is going to feel the difference of what you're doing, because you will come across as more grounded. Your voice will sound differently, your body, your posture, everything. So that's my key secret, breathing. And I see there's a lot of conversation in the chat. Box breathing also, yes. It helps us to, yes, exactly. Yeah, it helps. There are apps, I see you're writing down unwind. Yes, lovely, lovely recommendations. It always helps to do it and practice it also, not in a training setting, but also at home and everything. So breathing is my winner when it comes to training trainers, but also leaders, to be honest. Breathing awareness helps everyone. So breathing awareness, and that was the key secret. And I think it's a good moment. We are going back to the key takeaways, because it's a moment that we are closing slowly the session. So it's a moment to go to Miro, and Christiana is going to put in the chat the Miro link. So you can click there. And while we are going to play some nice music in the background, you can do a 3-tier reflection, which is one of my favorites. So 3 things that you learned during this webinar, 2 things that you knew already, but you got them confirmed, and 1 thing that that's still a question that you have. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I think Christiana already put it in the chat. Yes. And see you in the Miro board. We have 4 minutes for it, and we're going to play some nice music. And slowly come back in the room, come back in the room. I see beautiful reflections, beautiful insights, questions, thoughts that you're sharing. I'm really grateful to see that you have so many insights. And I finally, now that I don't share my screen, I can see more people that I also know and more people that I don't know also. But yeah, since we have the last moments, if somebody wants to share a thought, an insight, a question, we have approximately 4 minutes before I can hand it to Stefan for the last word. So please unmute yourself or put it in the chat. And curious to hear.
I can share something. I also added it in the chat. Lena, it was really nice that you shared practical tips. Like I already have some improvements that I can apply, and that was great. You don't get this with every workshop, so thanks for that.
Thank you very much. Yava, I think you're raising your hand.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question. I have a question about diffusing. Let's say if we have a participant who is has an idea about something or sharing information, but it's not exactly helpful to the others, or it's also factual and not exactly correct, and we're trying to diffuse the situation. Can the other participants keep it up, or how to keep this distinction so that the other participants actually get the information they need, or might they be influenced? How to deal with this?
That's a very good question. Thank you for asking, Yava. Yes. So what to do? You're asking what to do when the input that comes from the other person is not quite right? That yeah, and how to make sure that the rest of the group really understands. Okay, what can we do in this situation? That's a great question. I'm going to bring you to the room. Do you have any idea how would you respond to this?
Hello.
Hello.
I think I would start to say or seeking to understand how that person get that conclusion. What was the pathway? What was the information that she has to get that information? That's phase number one, and stage number two will be recenter with the perspective or the theory that we are trying to focus on that session.
Okay, thank you for sharing.
Probably that will be my approach. Empathy, try to find out where that idea comes from, and then realign.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Pedro. So from what Pedro said, the first idea is to put on your coaching hat and try to understand a little bit more deep, but doing it with empathy, doing it with professional love, as they call it here in the Netherlands. The second one is center it more to your own piece of work, what you've shown before. My immediate response would be to open it up to the room and ask, what's what I did with you, like see what other people feel, because might be a confusion for other people, might be that people are super clear on it, and then it doesn't have to come from you. So ways of tackling it. And I think so.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Zoe is asking, the method for inner calmness is to have strong opening that you know inside out and you can get it right. Yes, you're completely right. The beginning, that we say in Greece, the beginning is half of everything, which is true. If you do a very strong, good beginning, then it pumps your energy up, pumps up your audience, and brings a lot of calmness. We give the signals that everything is okay and I'll handle it. So perfect. With that being said, we are perfectly timed for a closing. So that's it from our end. I want to thank very much Christiana for all your lovely support, and Stefan for inviting us and doing it under the L&D Shakers, which is a place that you know all I love completely. And up to you, Stefan, to do the closing.
Yes, and also thank you to you, Lena, for sharing this wonderful knowledge and such practical tips on how to deal with difficult audiences. We know there's much more to cover, and there's so much more that you could offer as well. So we'll make sure to send out links just after the session so that you can find where Lena's at, but also rewatch what we've been going over and make sure that the rest of the community that signed up that couldn't be here can also still see the session. And if you've got somebody in your environment that's like, you know what, you should see this video at some point, it's going to come to our YouTube. We're going to make sure it's available in that link, and we'll make sure to send it out to you. Thank you, Lena. Thank you, Christiana. And we wish you a wonderful day. And catch you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.